Hello and welcome to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson and I'm here talking all things. So for a Devil's Journey show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Parkin. How's your week been, mate?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been okay. A bit busy, sort of. But obviously Friday night we went to Leeds. Saturday, I was at Haywood Road in Sale.
Oh,
watching my niece in a rugby tournament. A little story. I got there, and as we were going in, they said it's £5 each. It's an under sevens tournament. What you going on about? So we paid it. We went in. Little did we know that Swinton were playing Toulouse at home. I'm there with with Salford gear on. About as popular as I won't go into details, but we did leave after kick-off. As soon as it kicked off, we left. But Coach Rowley was there.
is it?
Yeah, so I don't know if he's just having an afternoon out or what, or whether he was scouting. I'm no idea. But yeah, it was good to see him. So we let on to him. But yeah, it's been an interesting way. It's been plenty going on in life. Just want the weather to buck up now, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, I was due to go on a hot air balloon ride last week, unfortunately, but the too windy, which is a bit gutting. Supposed to go on with my dad for his 70th birthday gift thing. So been trying for like 2 years to get off the ground with this thing, with COVID and all that jazz. But yeah, unfortunately, I think it's the 5th time I've managed to try to book it, but this time too windy, up in the air, and we couldn't guarantee that we'd take off in one place and land in another, which is disappointing.
Literally couldn't get it off the ground. That's good. I don't think I fancy that though. I don't think it's my thing. I don't mind flying, but something about a balloon.
Yeah,
it don't seem sturdy enough to me. But
no, there is that. But I know what I'm like, Parky. I like the sky and space and all that, and I like to.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'll be looking up more than looking down. I've got to admit that. But that's just that's who I am. You know what I mean? But yeah, excited. Hopefully, this time in whatever it is, June, the next effort, it'll be not too sunny, not too windy, not too rainy. It won't be Tuesday or something, whatever. It'll be good to hopefully get off the ground and I'll be able to enjoy it with my dad, hopefully. So yeah, lots to go at this week, Parker. We're going to look back at the Leeds victory. We're going to look back at our ladies game. They lost to Cardiff in the Challenge Cup. We've got all the big news coming out the club this week. We've got Whiteside's World Rugby League, and we've got the preview of all our teams' games this week. And so we'll start with the victory against Leeds. Devils travelled to Leeds Rhinos on Friday night and were victorious. They beat Leeds 22 points to 12. Parker, not one of our happiest hunting grounds, but a convincing win for Paul Rowley's men.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Our record, there's it's shocking, isn't it? I mean, I don't know what it is about that place, but it usually gets to us. But that performance on Friday night, I think that says, I think it said everything about this team, how good we actually are. The defensive effort at times was stifling Leeds. It was the best. I think it's the best defensive effort in terms of the way we defended. We got into them a little bit more. We were a bit more in the face rather than we hang back 10 metres, they make 10, and then they make a bit more because they, got momentum. But they have a big pack, and it was all I said last week that'd be a problem for us, and it wasn't. It just we were just superb. And then when we had ball in hand, it seemed like everything we did was coming off. There weren't that many drop balls. There weren't silly mistakes throwing the ball into touch. That was their job. And I think that the best thing for me was the way we kept pinning them down their end, or at least kicking it down there and getting, playing in their half as much as we could. And we scored some really good tries. It just, from a defence, we know we can attack. We know that. And if you get near your line, you're going to be in trouble. But defensively, at times, we can be a little bit lax from further out. Not so much on our line, but further out. And on Friday night, that didn't happen. We were magnificent. And like you said, going to Leeds it's never easy for us. I think it's the third time I've seen us win there in 40 odd years. So a brilliant, like a momentous occasion. It's one of them. I think it happened in 2019. That feeling as well. Not so much in 2009 when we won there, but 2019 it felt like, yes, we are someone. This isn't a one-off. This is, we're good enough to beat these. So yeah, I loved the whole performance, and there was a few nervy moments for most of the game. I just thought we were in charge. I felt comfortable. I've done it a few times this year. I did it late twice, even though the games finished quite close. I always thought we were in control of them. And then we've gone to Leeds and done the same to them. And they're obviously, I met a team of, the grand final last year. So, but no, brilliant result, and just massive credit to the lads, because again, we're still missing key players, especially on that flank there with No CEO and Laffey. And you're bringing in, Williams and Longstaff. I mean, Longstaff's not even a centre. He's a back rower. And he did a decent job. He got into the game. He started a bit slowly, but he got into the game, and credit to him as well. But it just shows that these lads are willing to play anywhere for the team, and it's just a massive credit to them.
Yeah, I thought Leeds were ill disciplined. I thought they gave us possession, they gave us territory. We all know what our problem is, getting out of our 20, but too much turnover ball just piggybacked us up the pitch time after time after time, and we took advantage. The start off with a sin bin, the Blake Austin sin bin, where he took Callum Watkins out, where it could have possibly looked like he was going to score, but obviously down to 12 men. Salford in with the ascendancy and the momentum. First try, Reece Williams, lovely hands from left to right. Everyone involved, Croft, Briley and Cross sends Williams over, and Salford leads 6-0.
For me, the key to that move is not just the run of Braley coming in again from that fullback role into the line, was Andy Ackers acting half. If you watch what he does, he's really clever, but he picks the ball up. Now, we know he likes to have a run himself. He's great at that, them dummy half runs. But he looked to his left and took a step slightly. So their defence was already shifting left. Now, the one man down, and then he instantly just flipped through it to the right. And they were outnumbered from that point on. And they were going to be anyway. And Williams took that try really well, because he took some scoring still in the corner. He could have easily got pushed out. So yeah, a wonderful start to the game, and I think from that point on, I think I could see that we had something over them. I think I don't know, they weren't scared of us, obviously, but they were obviously well aware of what we could do with the ball, and they seemed to stand off a bit. But yeah, wonderful start for us.
Yeah. So Leeds down to 12 men. We get a set restart on the next set. We force a dropout from Leeds. Next play, Sam Stone goes over. Lovely work by Mark Steed. Sends the big second row over for his second try of the season.
Yeah, he's really growing, isn't he? A bit like what Shane Wright's done when he comes on. That just a lot of hard work, a lot of hard graft, but it seems to be in the right place, especially near the try line, which is it's great if you got forward pitching in with tries. It's a great thing to have. But again, like you said, we set it up well. It was all about the build-up and how we got Leeds to move around. They were sort of running to our tune, if you like, and at that point, I think we're all in a bit of dreamland, and there was a lot of us there, a lot of Reds there. It was a great atmosphere in that end, considering you don't really get an atmosphere in that end. But yeah, I remember we just going wild, couldn't believe what was going on, and it just allayed all the fears. And I think from then, the team knew that they were going to win this game.
Yeah, so 12-0 up. We turn the ball over at kickoff. Then they have opportunities. Then there was a couple of opportunities. Ryan Bradley got injured with a try-saving tackle. They had a disallowed try, which was that one. They had a chance in the corner where I think it was Newman threw the ball into touch.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately for us, just on half time, Richie Myler scored. People talk about it being obstruction and being offside and forward pass, but for me, Leeds were more dangerous in the last 10 minutes keeping the ball alive, and they knew that. But we did our best to keep the defensive line straight and hard, but unfortunately, it ran out of bodies and Myler went over.
Yeah, I like that where they threw the ball into touch was really good defence. I think it was Longstaff again came out and put pressure on him, and he had to force the pass and obviously didn't look. That try, I don't. At first, I thought it was an obstruction on Sneed, but but having watched it back on highlights, it's a coming together. He didn't have to get out of his way. But previously to that, there was a forward pass. And they had one last year against us. They went into like an 18-0 lead last year. They got a couple of dubious tries. I don't even remember the charge down. And they knocked the ball out from the scrum. Yeah. And somehow they got the ball. It was a bit bizarre. Anyway, so I was a bit worried that maybe the referee had, I don't know, swayed a little bit by that crowd, which, let's be honest, I think they boo at Santa Claus, them lot.
To be fair,
they got on his back big time for things he wasn't doing wrong. I don't think he was terrible, certainly the second half, but I just thought it was a forward pass in the build-up. You get missed. It happens. Will have scored off forward passes this year, so it happens. So yeah, it was just the timing really was disappointing, because you think if they come out and score at the start of the half, it can change the momentum massively. We didn't deserve that.
I didn't see a forward pass in it. I think Mark Sneyd knew what he was doing. He trying to get the penalty, but it was what it was. They go over just for half time, and obviously we're talking about previous Leeds performances. We know what's coming, don't we? But it didn't come for me. I think obviously we talk about Leeds Rhinos and Rowan Smith rebuilding them, but I just think there's a lot more sort of trouble going on, because they never seemed. You said that the Leeds fans got on top of the referee and they were shouting. From where I was in the South Stand, there wasn't that kind of anger or passion to like, we've got to lift them now. There wasn't. I didn't feel that from their supporters. They were just expecting something to happen, really, and it never did. The players, for me, there was one point I know sort of was going on later into the second half where Cross knocks on, and they have to feed the scrum with about 4 minutes to go, and instead of all rushing to the scrum and getting the game going again, just sort of everyone just mooches over to the scrum, and they waste like 30 seconds there, and you're thinking you're behind by 10 points at home. Where's the urgency? So I don't know whether it's the one-off or what, but I think they're missing that X factor which what Leeds Rhinos is all about, really. But good for us, but it'll take a lot to fix that, I think.
You're absolutely right. There is issues at Leeds, clearly. I mean, I'd start with their recruitment for this year. I think it was shocking for a club of that size with that kind of money they've got, and they went out and signed Darryl Alford, and we all know that he can score tries. He's a good finisher, but half the time he can't keep hold of the ball. I know it's not his fault from Friday night, and they brought in Lewis Roberts, that was with us in our academy a while ago. Again, a bit of a strange one. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but if you're a grand final team like they were last year and you're building, it's not the signing you make. And I looked at the rest of the team and I look at them and I think, how many of that team would I take and bring to Salford?
Yeah.
And actually get a game, I'd probably take Ash Hanley on the wing, because I think he's he always scores against. He's a fantastic player. A Ledsky up front, because he's a big tough ball carrying forward. Maybe that might be it. It might be one or two more, but there's nothing. That's not Leeds. You don't expect that. You go to Leeds, you want Danny Maguire, Rob Burrow, you've got Peacock. You've got these stars of the game, and so there's something not quite right. And I think the fans getting on the referee was because of that, because of the frustration that they're not used to this, and they've got to find an excuse as to why it's happening. And I think sometimes you do that. I know we do it. Fans do it when we're behind, we're playing rubbish, and you start picking on the ref, and it's like, well, it's not his fault that we're conceding 30 points. That's not the. But I think there's a lot going on. And the other thing is with that, you were saying about the passion from the fans and stuff. I think once they took the old South Stand down, I think they lost a hell of a lot for atmosphere. Yeah. Look, it's a fantastic stadium now. It looks the part. It just needs a roof on one end, but it's not as fierce as it used to be. And I think that helps teams, and it won't help Leeds one bit.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that there, Parker. It just didn't seem to be any zip in the air, and that's at home, if you're the top side, you have that, don't you? You know what I mean? I just thought to myself, they aren't Leeds Rhinos of 5 years ago here, and that's that the fear factor's gone,
Yeah.
which is good for teams like us who go there and sometimes are beaten by previous ghosts really before the actual sort of game kicks off. But and also I thought as well, they weren't able to build any pressure on us at all. They just let go of the pressure valve too easy. There was one point where they had us pinned on our line, and then the next tackle they got pinged for offside. And it's moments like that you think it's like they call them coach killers, don't they? Really. And I was like, wow, thank the Lord that's happened, because we were stuck, we weren't getting out of there. And it happened a couple of times throughout the game where ill discipline by them helped us. I'm not going to moan about it, because we've had a few over the years where it hasn't gone our way, but it was self-inflicted, a lot of it from Leeds.
You're right, and that was it. You were right what you said earlier on about the discipline. It was terrible from Leeds, absolutely awful. But that your discipline goes when you're a struggling team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You give away more penalty. You do. It's strange. I don't know what you mean. I think a lot of it with the ball was our defence, forcing them into certain areas that we don't normally do. We didn't normally let teams play in front of us, and they don't always go through us, but we give them a little bit too much credit and a bit too much space. We didn't do that with Leeds on Friday. We closed them down. Their key players, we kept them really quiet. Didn't know much from their half backs or anything. You didn't see anything from them. So, but again, at the same point, I thought Leeds were just really poor. I think they looked like a bit of a broken team, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So basically, big defence from us, organised attack from us, kicks deep, forces a dropout. They kick out on the full.
Yeah.
Max D keeps the scoreboard ticking over with a penalty just in front of the post, takes it to 14-6.
Yeah. Well, it's one of them things that I always say. Once we get in front, just take every point you can from that point. Because you don't expect these days in Super League generally there aren't that many blowouts. Most weeks, it can be 8 points either way. If you've got a 6-point lead or whatever, just keep adding an extra 2 when you get them, or even a drop goal if you have to. But get the ball back and go again. And we did that. Really smart play, because people were at one point when we did tap it, it was the right time, and this was the right time to kick it. And when we were going to kick it, we go, no, tap it. No, just get these extra 2 on, and then we can play if we have to. We've got a bit of a cushion if it goes wrong, and it works. And that's on the field as well as off the field. That's using your brains, and that's what someone like Mark Sneed, Callum Watkins will bring.
Yeah, Paul Rowley talks about giving the players the responsibility in that position where if they feel like it's on, it's on. So he kind of lets them decide, which is fine on the field. If you've got, like a feeling that it's coming, then you don't want your coach. Obviously, he is the head coach. He makes the final decision, doesn't he? If he, adamantly decides that we're taking the 2, we take the 2. But I think bad sound it most of the time. He says, well, what do you think? And the players like Mark Sneed, like you said, experienced pro, been there, done it. He knows what's going on the field, and decision making in that strategic areas is bang on for me. So, like we said, ill discipline from Leeds, penalty, try resulted in a try from by Ellis Longstaff, lovely kick by Brodie Croft, and Ellis Longstaff, who was fabulous throughout, got on the end of it, and it made it 22-6.
Yeah, that was the other thing. The kicking from, well, both of them, but certainly Croft. There was a kick he put in where I think we held him behind the line for a dropout, and he just dropped it in the perfect place. Their fullback or winger, I can't remember who it was, picked it up. It might be Milo, and he had nowhere to go because it had just been perfectly played. If you could have put it anywhere on the pitch, that's where you wanted it, and he landed it there. And then, like you say, for Longstaff's try again. It's just smart thinking, put the kick in, because they were expecting the pass out. It was that was a simple thing. They were numbering up there to cut us out, and they come out that fast. We just went through them. So just another really smart try, and by that point, I think that killed the game.
Yeah. So obviously, we leading 22-6. Leeds goal short, and it looked like a potential knock on to me, but I think it was Reece the second row was playing in the centre. Martin, that's him. Just about grabbed hold of it. A couple of tackles later, Leeds go over in the corner at 22-12 with about 10 minutes to go. And at that point, I thought it's going to come here. And like I said, it never did, Parky. And that's the thing, which really encourages me about this team, because they don't get phased by previous goals. They're just there to make their own history.
Yeah, I think we probably by that time, I think we'd knocked the stuffing out of them a little bit. I think they had struggles all the way through the game trying to break us down. And I think we were probably out of ideas and probably knew the game had gone. I mean, they could have possibly got something out of it but I think by that point it was too late. And we'd have been a bit tired by that point, a bit of fatigue coming in. That's why I think we, when they got the ball off us, we just weren't switched on. But we put a lot of work in by that point, and I just felt safe by then. I really did. And it'd have been nice to keep them to single figures if we could, but we're away at Headingley. I don't care if we win by 1 or 100. Just going there and getting a win was good enough for me. So, but a fantastic all-round performance. And obviously, we haven't even mentioned the fact that we lost Ryan Briley, in the first half, and Chris Atkin came on, and wow, is there anywhere this lad can't play? He is unbelievable. He went at fullback, and I just thought he looks like a fullback. It looks like that's his position all the time. He was never caught out. He was there. He pulled off some good tackles. And obviously, we know how good he is with the ball anyway, because he's a halfback. So getting him into the line was seamless. So yeah, just all round, every single one of them were to a man, were absolutely superb.
Yeah, we're joined by Paul Whiteside, back from keeping Britain warm. Paul, thoughts on the Leeds win?
I thought it was a great performance, Rob. I really did. Just echoing what Parky said there, I thought Chris Atkin, tremendous. I mean, he would fit in every single team in the Super League, I think. And there's probably some NRL teams that have him just for his durability and the sort of strength of him as well. Nothing seems to faze him. He's such a brave lad, and yeah, I thought he was great. And I thought Rhys Williams had a belting game as well. Thought he was really good. I thought Ellis Longstaff in the first half, that Newman, the centre of Leeds, seemed to be giving him a real hard time, and he seemed to grow into that. And I tell you what, he didn't give it him when he scored. There's a couple of times where Ellis was in his ear roll and that, and got his own back on him. So I thought he came of age on Friday night. Ellis Longstaff, he really grew into that game, and after a shaky start, I think he announced himself on the scene as a Salford player. So yeah, that was a pleasing aspect. The only thing that I didn't like was the way we kicked for penalty at the end. I thought we should have run it there, because we ended up kicking the goal, missing it. Leeds got the ball back, and then they scored, and it was like the Alamo coming at us. I think we should have just took the sting out of it and just run that. So that was the only thing I thought. Other than that, I thought the performance was. I just thought we were dead solid. We don't look vulnerable anymore. We look tough. We're hard to beat. We really are hard to beat. We might not be like scoring tons of points like we were last season, but I think we're playing a different brand, aren't we now? And no, it was great. It was great to get a win there, and it'd be a great double if we could back it with a win at St Helens, wouldn't it? And whisper that one, but no, I enjoyed it. It was a good night.
Yeah, the man behind making us hard to beat, Paul Rowley, spoke to me after the game. This is what he had to say. So that's Paul Rowley talking himself after the game. Parking, he was chuffed with the performance, obviously proud of his lads' performance against a tough Leeds side.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably as pleased as I've ever heard him speak, in terms of he's just he's always at medium, isn't he? He's never at low and he's never at high. He just keeps everything on the level. But he seemed really sort of invigorated by that and excited by what he'd seen. And it was because it was such a professional performance. It was, for me as a long-term fan, it was it was uncharacteristic of Salford. That's not how we play rugby. That's not what we do. And if we can attack, we generally don't defend very well, or what But at the moment, we've just got the whole thing. And like Paul just said there, we're not scoring as many points as last year, but I think there's a few things there. I mean, obviously players that are missing, bit of strike out wide that's not there at the moment. I know Williams was superb again, and Ellis the other day, but you've got Kensio and Laffey missing, and they add so much to the team, especially bringing the ball out of defence. They cause problems. And I just thought, overall, when you look at us now, you've just said it there, we just look solid. We look, and you listen to Paul Rowling, he just sounds like a satisfied man. He's just sort of like, not my job here is done, but we're at a level now that we need to be at. And, if we're going to be in this top, these playoffs every year, that's the performance you've got to put in every week.
Yeah. Rowan Smith, Paul, he was talking about the referee allowing us to hold on quite a bit. I didn't see it personally, but it sort of smells of a coach that's desperate.
Rubbish, mate. All teams do it every week. There's not a team in Super League that doesn't lie on. Every single team lies on. Every single team lies offside. Every single team will do whatever they can to gain an advantage on their opposition. So whatever Rowan Smith's talking there, it's just sour grapes for me. I mean, how many times has Salford been to Leeds and had the pocket picked? There's the Richie Myler incident, the forward pass incident under Ian Watson. I can remember Adrian Bowles coughing the ball up in 2002 when we got beat 39-38 and we should have had a scrum. And there's been loads. There's been absolutely tons of them. So you've got to take the rough with the smooth. That's why we've got such a ridiculous record at Leeds and St Helens, because, a lot of the times we've been stuffed, but there's been a lot of times where we've been on the end of, mediocre decisions. Same at St Helens. Look at last season, excuse me, in that playoff game. We never seem to get that rub of the green, and you don't in sport. If you go away to a side that's got massive crowds, the referee will probably swing towards the home because they'll be influenced by the crowd, won't it? And they're only human, and that goes on. So I think that Bentley was moaning as well on Twitter about something. Well, say his try was given, we'd have still won the game anyway. So I don't buy it. I think you shouldn't moan about stuff like that. I think you should give Salford a bit of respect and say they played well. So I don't buy into coaches' wins. I think it's the same for all teams.
Yeah, looking at the stats, Andy Ackers, 33 tackles, Sam Stone, 28 tackles, Oliver Partington, 33 tackles, Shane Wright, 34 tackles, and Ellis Longstaff, 32 tackles, Parker.
Yeah, brilliant. Ellis Longstaff there again, 30-odd tackles in the centre. That's some work. So they obviously targeted that side. They obviously thought that was going to be a weak link, and were proven badly wrong. Thought Ollie Partington got through a absolute ton of work. He's a joy to watch. I think he's the kind of player we've missed for a long time. Obviously, he's a big lad, but he's got great hands. But his work rate is second to none. He's superb, and him and Wright. I think Shane Wright's now showing what we missed for most of last year when he was injured. I think he missed like 15 weeks last year. When you get a fully fit player like that, again, he's just every single week. He's 9 out of 10. But a lot of tackling done there. I'm a bit surprised there was that many actually, because I thought I thought we kind of controlled the game anyway. But good figures.
Yep. Top meter makers, Brodie Croft with 96, Kim V with 97, Oliver Partington with 88, Tyler Durpee with 92, Shane Wright with 167, and Dion Cross 99. Paul.
Yeah, Shane Wright's a worker, isn't he? We all know that what he does with the ball, but I think he's becoming an out top second row player for me. And Sam Stone as well. You've got two lads there in the back row, and Callum Watkins, don't forget as well. He can play in the pack, but I think in Shane Wright, you've got a real quality second row man there. I love to see him running out wide, and I think he could be, a big part against St Helens at the weekend. And I know he seems to start a lot on the bench, doesn't he? But whether he prefers it like that. But I've been so impressed with him this season. I think he's getting better and better. And I was having a chat with somebody today about him. We were talking about like the firm grounds and sort of being better as the weather seems to get better. But if you look at last season, I think we only had a couple of wins, didn't we, this sort of time last season? Now we've got 14 points. We've won 7 games already. So if we was to go on a run when the drier grounds get drier and the weather gets better, we couldn't be on top of the table. So I'm really pleased where we are at the moment. But to echo what you said there, Shane Wright, King Bunny Iowa, I thought put big minutes in as well. But I've been impressed with Stone. I think he's getting better and better every week. He's tough. There's not a lot of him, but he really is a tough man. And Partington as well, becoming a real enforcer in the pack, does the dirty work. And for want of a better word, he's a bit of a niggler. And every team needs that. They need somebody to dish it out, do the dirty work and that. And Oliver Partington seems to thrive on that.
If we're going to start talking about how good we're going to get when the ground firms up, Parky, I'm going to start talking about how Neil Baines has lost 2 stone.
Yeah, we've heard it before, haven't we? No, but he's right. I mean, last season it took us to the back end of the season really to kick in. And it was when the weather kind of broke for us. It was, I remember the games against Saints when we battered Saints at home and Huddersfield at home, and Wakefield. They were actually really nice days, and it does have an effect. Because obviously the way we play, we like to move the ball about, and if the ball's greasy, it's not ideal for us in our attacking style. But again, they're bright with their meters. They're massive meters. Because, like you say, he's not on the pitch for 80 minutes. I mean, that's a massive work rate. And again, I just want to say, I just said about Partington, and Paul said the same thing. He's that little bit of difference that we've not had. He is a bit niggly. He brings some of that Wigan professionalism, them little tricks that they play, and they do hold you down a little bit longer, or they can, make you lose the ball, by ripping it out and not getting caught. He's one of them, and it's nice for us to finally have one.
Yeah, I thought King V, his best performance in a Salford shirt so far. I thought he was tremendous. I think we just need to tell him we play Leeds every week and he'll come up with a big performance like that. I'm hoping so anyway. But yeah, I thought it was tremendous. I thought all the forwards, like you say, were wonderful against a big Leeds pack, and it shows that the hunger and desire, gets you there, done it. And I thought they were brilliant on Friday. Big thanks for your 3-word match reports, man of the matches. Mark, awesome performance. Watkins. Colin Wilson, top-notch defence. Williams, Andy Smith, man plays everywhere. Atkin, Parker, you said very memorable win. Croft, Paul, your mate Roy Ellaby, gutted not there. He said everyone was his man of the match. Patrick Conley, win at Leeds. Atkin, Chris Seedhouse, brilliant defensive shift. Partington, Adam Sawbury, solid away performance. Williams, Aoife, proper gritty win. Williams, Stephen Doyle doing it quietly. Atkin, Adam Siddall, outstanding result. Chris Atkin. I think Steve Doyle's got a point there, Paul, that we're not sort of setting the world on fire, but we are in the position to strike.
I'd say winning at Leeds is setting the world on fire. We never win there.
Well,
no, I know. I get what people mean. I think sometimes people, the eye-catching rugby league is when you take your in teams, particularly perhaps the whole game this season. People look at that and go, "Wow!" But I think sometimes you've got to go to grounds like Leeds, and that's a massive win. You look at their team, some big players in there, some international players, some experienced players. Blake Austin, Mug. Bentley's played for England. They've got that Newman, Ash Hanley. They're household names, aren't they? And we went there, and I thought we was head and shoulders above them. That first half, we went 12-0 up. We totally bossed the game. And, you're not going to beat teams 30-odd points every week. You've got to grind things out. Look at St Helens, the way they go about the business. You don't blow teams away every week. You've got to win ugly sometimes, haven't you? But I thought we played well. I thought we did some good stuff. I thought we dominated the game. And your halfbacks, look at Leeds. Like I said, Austin there, they've got Caesar. I know he didn't play. But we've got Brodie Croft, Mark Sneed, 2 blokes that know each other inside out. They work so well together. And the pleasing thing for me, I know we've probably lost Brian Browder this week to his injury, but the great thing for Salford at the moment is the spine of the team. It's so settled, that spine. You've got Atkin as well. You've got this magician that comes off the bench and helps you out as well. That can play in every single position on the pitch, wash the kit, drive the bus. Chris Atkin just does everything. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. And like you said, the 3-word match reports. Some people have said the whole team, but it's difficult to pick somebody. Look at Rhys Williams. I think that was probably his best game for a long time. He could have been man of the match for me. His work rate, his defence, last ditch tackling, scored a try as well. So yeah, I think anybody who gets the award deserves it.
Yeah, so let's move on to our ladies. They were in Challenge Cup action last weekend. They played Cardiff at home and went down to defeat. They lost 8 points to 12, Parker. It was a tremendous cup tie. Obviously, Cardiff are Super League South double champions, so they are, a very good team. But our ladies didn't take a backward step.
Yeah, it's obviously not great. It's back-to-back defeats for the girls, and we're not used to that. It's not happened, but I think there's been an obvious step up in class this season to the opposition we're going to face. And it's a bit of a steep learning curve at the moment. But I think I said last week about the obviously the game in Wales. They do get the pick of, they're not fighting for other players with other clubs, so they've probably got some, decent players, and a lot of them will probably have come from union backgrounds. So rugby's not alien to them. They're not just learning. Some of these will have played for a while, and I think we said last week something like 9 of their team are the Welsh international team. It was always going to be tough, and it is unfortunate. But this year again, it's we learned a lot last year coming through that. A baptism, if you like, and we did really well. But this step up now is clearly a lot tougher than maybe we thought. But they cannot, it's a close run thing. It's just not happened yet. But I'm sure the girls will improve as the season goes on.
Yeah. Cardiff opened the scoring through Amy Ruck. The standoff, Paul, had an opportunity about a minute before where she sliced through, but good defence from Salford intercepted the ball. We played a set, and then the next set they went over for a try through Ruck, sort of around the Ruck, sort of found a bit of space, went over 6-0 then.
Yeah, and it's been a tough game, wasn't it, for them? And it's been a hard start this season, hasn't it, to the Challenge Cup, the group stages, and they just got to keep working hard to get better. Really, I know they're going to get a break this weekend for the nines competition, and that could do them a world of good, really. Going into that and a bit of different format, because it's been a difficult baptism of fire, hasn't it, really, and playing quality teams week in, week out. But no, it was a tough game for them at the weekend.
Yeah. So at that point, both forwards went to war, and it was absolute box office for me. I watched it with through my fingers at one point. It was tremendous stuff from both teams, and not just Our Lady, because obviously, I don't know what they're feeding them in Cardiff, but whatever it is, we need to get some of it, because they were powerful and running hard. But Our Lady just stood strong and gave it them back as well, which was fantastic. Attacking wise, we had opportunities as well. Jamie Jones put a bomb in the air, ball ricocheted back to her. She put a little grubber kick through. Alex Simpson chased it. Their fullback Burrell got to it, just kicked it dead, Parky. But the opportunity was there, and the chances were coming.
Yeah, creating chances. I know the game against Fev was a little bit like that. The scoreline probably didn't reflect the result in many ways. I think we were a little bit unlucky at times, and obviously last week we lost so many players to injury. And I mean, we are creative. We do create chances, and it's just not happened. And I suppose it's a tough one to put your finger on at times when you are going through this and thinking, why aren't we? What? I mean, that could easily go for you. It turns a game. You win the game. You score that, you kick the goal, and you're ahead. But yeah, I think there's obviously work to do. The other thing, I mean, you mentioned the forwards, and I don't know if it's just me, but I think our forwards are a lot smaller than the other team's forwards. Something I've noticed. I noticed it a couple of times last year. I think ours are not massive. You know what I mean? It's not a big pack in many ways. They're all sort of mobile. I suppose a bit like the men's team. It's that kind of same thing. And every week you're going to face it. And these ladies from Wales, like I say, I dare say some of them have come through rugby union, and it's a forwards game, rugby union. So they'll be well skilled at, and know how to take the ball in and protect it. So yeah, I mean, it'll happen for them. But this week, it's just tough because it's the cup. But it is the cup. It's the league that's important this year, to stay in that division, not get relegated again or anything like that. Just stay in there. So we can learn a bit from these sort of pre-season games, if you like, if you want to put it like that. I know it's a cup, but because we've got a real tough game coming up, and that's so that's not going to be easy in I think a couple of weeks. But no, we've just got to keep plugging away, and it'll come.
Yeah. So got towards the end of the first half. Salford built pressure. Lovely switch from right to left, went through the hands. Sage Bannister went for the corner, popped up a lovely little ball to Steph Gray, who came back in the angle, went over in the corner. Salford led at half time, 6-4, Paul. Oh, behind 6-4, sorry.
Yeah.
We had momentum in that second half. The chances came. We forced dropouts. We caused errors on their sort of line. Didn't score till sort of later on. But it was a moment where, like you said, Cardiff are sort of the Super League champions of the South. So to test them in the Challenge Cup shows how far our ladies have come.
Yeah, that's it. And I say it every week, and we still got, we're still learning. The girls are still learning. Some of the girls are still in there, been playing for a year, and not from any other background. You know what I mean? They weren't rugby league players or anything like that. So there's a lot of learning going on at the moment, and games like that. I mean, who said it the other night? I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been a football commentator or something. But you do. A lot of the time, you will learn more by defeat than you will by actually winning. And I think that's what's going to happen for us this year. But it's just a shame that, like you say, we create chances. We're just not. It's the bounce of the ball or that last pass, or it's just not clicking. But it'll fall into place for him. And games like that on Sunday, which obviously a tough competitive game, will come out on the top of eventually, because we'll have learned from that, and your mistakes. You just sometimes as well when you're in a game like that, you feel you can win it. You're only a couple of points behind. You can force it a little bit too much.
Yeah,
I think it's just taking a step back and having that, that take a moment and let's just build a bit of pressure. Time. I mean, the first team have done it enough. Let's not pretend. So yeah, that's the only thing at the moment. But it's just unfortunate. What they've got to do is not get downhearted by it and realise that it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. So basically, at that point, it looked like the Welsh wall was about to crumble. We passed the ball out wide. Unfortunately for us, they intercepted it. The standoff, I think it was Ruck, ran 60 metres. Louis Felham tracked her back, forced an error. But unfortunately, at that point, they had momentum. So they pressed us back a bit. Little kick through. Sage managed to catch the ball and were forced to like a dropout. Then error from them, put us in position. And a try from Alex Simpson, little kick by Demi Jones. Simpson managed to grab the ball and put it down in the corner. And Salford led at that point, Parky 8-4 with about 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, you mentioned there about the interception, and it's moments like that can actually turn games. That I'm saying about that bit of luck that you need or whatever. Unfortunately, it didn't. But I think if we'd have scored at that point, before that, we'd have gone on, won the game. It's just didn't happen. And it is just little moments like that. But I mean, Demi's a very smart player, very clever. And like you mentioned off air earlier about a little kick and that sort of thing. She knows the game. She's played it for a long time. She understands the sport, and she creates for other people. And I know we missed her the first game, didn't we? She was out for that, so she's probably only just getting back into it, as in fitness after a long break in between. So she's got, and again, she's it's encouraging signs. But again, I'll say we create chances, we score decent tries, but when we get going. But we just need the bounce of the ball, and it went their way in the end.
She's got competition with Sam Evans now, though. It's going to be a right tussle to see who gets the 7 shirt when Sam is fit. So, as many cup ties go, Paul, the time ticks down. Everyone gets a bit nervous. Cardiff then got a penalty with about 2 minutes to go, managed to leapfrog up the pitch, and their prop forward Lauren Aitken crashed over with about 90 seconds to go to break Chris Bates' ladies' hearts.
Yeah, and that's how it goes sometimes, isn't it? You put so much into a match, and you're done there right at the end, aren't you? And things just don't go your way, and we've seen that many a times, haven't we? So I think, like Parky said before, like I said, I didn't see the game at week, so I couldn't really go through the match with you. But I think, like Parky said, it's the league this season for the ladies, isn't it? And I know the cup's a distraction, and it's a Challenge Cup, and it's a massive thing, isn't it? It'll be at Wembley as well. It'll be a double header, and they're still alive in that competition. But you can't fight on all fronts sometimes, can you? And I think survival and that Super League's the main thing, isn't it? And they're going to learn from the defeats. I mean, last season was pretty rosy, wasn't it? Winning games every week, and it's tougher this time round now. And I think you learn a lot more sometimes in defeats, don't you, than you do wiping the floor with teams. So it's going to be tougher than that. But as I said before, they've got that Nines this weekend to look forward to, which should be good. Should be a good break from it, and I'm sure playing that sort of brand of rugby and that format of the game might be a bit more enjoyable and be the refreshing break that the ladies need.
Yeah. So unfortunately, ladies go down to defeat, but went down, fighting, gave the Cardiff Demons a real test for me, and it's a positive thing even in defeat. So that's our review of both the games, and now we'll see what's happening in the world of Salford Red Devils. So we'll start with the new supporters share scheme. There is a seminar organised on the 23rd of May. It's a Tuesday. It's called Red Rise Together. It's from 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. Parker. Opportunity for fellow owners to get together and the club to sort of do a presentation for them and see what's going on.
Yeah, I think just it'll clear up a few details, but meat on the bones, if you like, of what the plan is. It's easy for to put a sort of a thing out there, and people are sending the money in quite willingly, but you do want to know more. We know the basics, we know what it's for, we know what the plan kind of is, but so it'd be interesting to hear from the people who are in charge, who have come up with this, as to what the long-term plan is. You're going to become an owner of something. You need to know exactly what it is you're taking over, and what going forward, what decisions will you be involved in? What level of involvement is needed? So it's a good thing for the club, because I think there's still obviously time after that people can join. And I think if there's any questions or any doubts about something, clear it up then, and then you can invest or decide not to, whichever is your preference. But yeah, it'll be interesting to hear what's said, and what they can outline for the future.
Yeah, we're on £138,000 at the moment, Paul. 525 investors have pledged money forward to it. So obviously, the momentum's there at the moment. It's been going 2 weeks?
Yeah, the momentum's there. But like Parker said, there's probably a lot of questions that people want to ask and things like that, because money in rugby league, it's not just a one-off thing, is it? This money's going to be. I mean, I'm not an expert. Don't get me wrong about finances and that, but the way I look at it is, you need a constant flow of money, don't you? So, say you've got 150 grand this month, you need 150 grand next month and the month after. So, where does all that money come from? That'd be my sort of take on things. It needs to be constant, doesn't it? So, I know people can't keep ploughing loads of money in, but I suppose this is where you need people to invest as well, businesses and things like that. So yeah, it's been great, to see the start of it and the generosity of people, and it just shows our club. We trendsetters, aren't we? You go back to the the '60s with the Snape era, how we went about things then. With a social club and things like that, we set trends and others followed. So now we're doing that again, all those years later, being the first club to do something like this. So it's a long way to go, as I said before, because money's it's easily gone, isn't it? Money, on someone's wages or this, that, and the other. So it's going to take a lot, but it's been a great start and great to see, so many people getting involved.
Yeah, the business plan is available, Parky. Now, we've had a little skim through it. I think the figures are quite realistic. The timeline they want to do the plans in is quite realistic as well. So I think if you're looking at the sort of investing, if you're looking at that bank, the business plan, then you're in good times.
Yeah, there's no point blowing it up. We are in a financial hole. It's as simple as that. But it sort of, like you say, outlines what we could do with that money and how it could set us up nicely for the future. I think that's a big thing that Paul said there about, it's all right, even if we make 250,000 out of this, what happens next? You know what I mean? Where's the next investment? Is how do we go about with sponsorship? How do other people get involved in the future? Where's the money going to come from to keep us going? you really need to do something like this every year, but clearly it's not viable. You know, people aren't just going to keep stumping up, you know, season ticket money, away travel, everything else, and an extra, you know, couple of £100 for something else. So it's to know how it's going to work and how the 500 odd owners, how they fit together. You know, I don't think the three of us could have a full debate about something and come up with the same answer. So how 500 odd people do, I don't know. But so how is that going to work? How does voting work? How do you know that? So it'd be interesting to see. But I read it and I agree. I think it's all achievable. It'd be nice if, like Paul said as well, we need business to come in and make that the larger contributions. And then what I think you said it to me off air, Rob, and I agree. The more I think about it is what's in it for them. And these are questions that need, you know, not just, oh, you'll get a meal here or you'll do that. I mean, what long term is, you know, is there any sponsorship that can come out of it? Is it to make companies go, I'll give you my money because it's worth it. It is an investment in the community. And some of them could probably write it off as something depending on who they are and how big the company is. You know, I'm not talking about somebody's local cafe, but, you know, big business. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But I do agree. I think there's if we can achieve at least the 250,000, but if we go above that, it's going to put us in such a strong position going forward, certainly for the next, you know, 12, 24 months, that, you know, we can carry on the great work that's being done. All the teams we've got running, you know, everything that the development doing in the community, the money's got to come from somewhere, and everything's going up. We know that in your own household that prices go up, and hopefully now, you know, we've negotiated with the stadium, we're getting a bit of money back from that. So, you know, things do look bright, but we need to make this work now.
Yeah, I think with businesses, Paul, it's about they're probably thinking, what do I get out of this? And it's like Parky said, it's about. I think it's more of a prestige thing if you're a business that I help run this rugby club as well, and that makes me look like a better owner. Possibly that's be something maybe if you were an owner of a business you'd want to sort of use to your advantage, maybe for your own business. But there's lots of things as well that I took out from the business plan, which excited me, that our attendances went up by 23% in 2022, and they're looking for obvious more increases in medium and long term, which were I think it was 20%. So I think it's sort of quite sort of a realistic target, that.
Yeah, I think at the moment the attendances seem to be going up all the time. I think, you know, corresponding to the fixtures last year, you know, if you look, I think we've been really hard done to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know who plans the fixtures, but who we played at home so far this season, we've not played anybody, you know, that would bring a big crowd like a Warrington and St Helens or a Wigan at home. We played Catalans, Wakefield, Castleford, Ulkayar, and Huddersfield, all the sides that don't really, you know, fair credit to them, but they're not well supported away from home. So, you know, we've not really had that so far, and you know, in those games, I think the support's been good. I think the home support's been good. So, so yeah, people are buying into it, aren't they? And we're playing good rugby, and we're winning matches as well. So, what Salford Rugby League Club needs to do is get to Wembley and win that cup. Win that cup, sell loads of shirts, and Warrington did it. Moved. I've told you the story before. I mean, Warrington won it. You know, went to that new ground, won the cup, and it's given them a rocket, hasn't it, and propelled them to the next level. And I think that could happen to Salford. You get to Wembley, you win the cup. You know, the Wembley week, you get to sponsors coming, businesses coming. So things can happen, can't they? From there, you're just talking about investors there and what have you. I mean, I can't think of a rugby league club in the country that makes money. I can't think of any football teams that make money. You're not going to buy into it as a business or whatever, as an investor to make money, because I don't think you will. Like you said, it's the prestige of it, you know, the business sponsoring it and things like that. So, no, I don't think sport teams make money really. I don't think owners come in and buy a club or take over a club. They do it because they're interested in it half the time, and it's a hobby, and they love it, and they love the sport. So, but no, regarding attendances and that, I think success on the pitch and sustained success, if I can say it, I think will all help. And yeah, please let's get to Wembley.
Yeah, Parker, you talked about the new deal they had regarding the food and the drink with the stadium, and they estimate that we spend per person £7.50 a head on food, which obviously generates more cash for the club they didn't have before. I think it's up to nearly £9,000, which is good.
Well, yeah, anything going into the coffers is good, but like it does. I mean, it goes hand in hand with performances on the pitch, which ends up putting bums on seats, which means they'll spend money in the stadium, which means we'll get more money back, plus the extra money we're getting through the turnstiles. It's success on the part that will dictate what, that kind of thing financially. But I mean, considering we've been there for 10, 11 years, and before this we hadn't earned a penny off the place. This is a massive step forward. And I agree, the crowds this year are up, and they will get higher because we will be playing these, certainly the teams from this side of the Pennines, who are obviously going to travel better. That's going to, Lee will bring a load. We know that. Obviously, Saints, Warrington, Wigan. So, yeah, we have been unlucky. We've played a couple of Thursday night games as well, which won't have helped us. But, yeah, I think these are things that are going to add in, and we need to. All this needs to be taken into account as to planning going forward. I don't think it's something Salford have ever done. I don't think they've ever taken stock of what it is, where we are and where we're going. I think it's always just been hand to mouth. Can we pay the bills this week? Can we put the lights on? Are the players getting paid? That's still the case. But with this, now it looks like there's an actual plan there of what we're going to do. And, it's credit to everybody at the club who've got the ducks in a row now. And if we can get the money, I think I said on Friday night, I phoned my brother on the way home, and I said Leeds are massive. They had 13,000 there the other night. They spend full salary cap. They've got everything, and yet on the pitch they look awful. We've got nothing, and yet somehow we're fantastic. Imagine what we could do with their money. How good we could be, because our recruitment appears to be spot on. Everything around the club at the moment just feels right, feels good. And for the first time possibly ever, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but we seem to be moving into a more professional era. We've been a professional team for God knows how long, but, as a club, off the pitch, it's never felt like that. It's never run like that. And now that's starting to change.
Yeah. So medium and long term is basically ramping up what they're going to do short term. Talking about succession planning, that's a bullet point in the business plan. They talk about sort of planning, continuing, like you say, to a conveyor belt of players, both outside our sort of academy / environment, and sort of producing players ourselves, Paul, as well. So there is obviously plans to get a elite academy in a few years' time as well. That's sort of a medium term effort. So the plans are there. They've got sort of building blocks in place, and I think like Parky said before, it's about putting meat on the bone now for the next couple of years. So when obviously we get to manage to eat and taste success.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's you look at Leeds. I mean, I was thinking that on Friday night when I was there. In the stadium, it's like a Premier League football ground, apart from the West Terrace that they always dump us on, which has never changed in like 60, 70 years, has it? But other than that, we look at hospitality they've got there and the pathways they've got everything. They really have, and yeah, like Parker said, we beat them. We're above them in the table, aren't we, as well? So yeah, I think with us, we're starting a bit behind these clubs, aren't we? We've not had that investment for a long time. We've not had the success. Look at how many pots and pans Leeds have won, how many Super Leagues they've won, how many trips to Wembley they've had, World Club Challenge. We've not had any of that. So yeah, we are starting behind. But you've got to start somewhere. I think we're being run in a professional manner now. And I'm just thinking about the game on Saturday going to St Helens. I mean, when I first started watching Salford, like you guys, we used to go to Knowsley Road and used to say to my dad on the way there, God, if we can keep the score under 40, it's a moral success, and we come home sort of happy, really, and looking forward to the next game. But now we sort of go in there, and Leeds and Wigan as well, hoping to win the game. Not just competing and keep the score down. Let's get there and win. So that whole mentality of the club's changed, and so I think off the pitch things have changed, but I think on the pitch as well, I think the supporters' mentality is changing. People expect now, if we get thumped at St Helens on Saturday, people will be disappointed because they go in there expecting us to do a job. So yeah, it is a bright time to be a Salford supporter. I think we sort of said this last season, and I think we were saying it the season before as well. It's been building up now for a couple of years, hasn't it? This and things are just starting to go in the right direction, and let's just hope they keep going.
Yeah, talk about in the community as well, Parky, growing our profile, reaching out to the community, engaging more, getting more people involved in the sport, and things like that. It's, it's exciting and it's realistic as well for me, which makes it even more exciting.
I think one of the key things that needs to be sort of cleared up, and this is where money comes in again, is a marketing, budget, which we clearly don't have. We seem to, for many years, target the same fans, the ones who already know, preaching to the converted in many ways. Salford's quite a big place with a decent population, but I would guess that 10% might know about when Salford are playing. You know what I mean? We've got to get out there and get the message out, not just in Salford. Obviously, the whole of Greater Manchester's our oyster, if you like. We've got South Manchester where there's no rugby league at all, where we could easily try and attract fans. I know Sale try and do it in Salford, so why would we not, do the same thing? It's things like that we need to map out for the future now. But you can't do it without money. That's the big thing. You can be as creative as you like, but you're not going to get to the wider public. I think if you walk around, Lower Broughton or something like that and ask them about Salford Rugby League, most people wouldn't have a clue, and that's not good enough realistically. But it's something that we've got to change, and I think there's a plan now, and I think that this is why they want this investment, so we can bring people in to do that job professionally, and get us back out there.
Yeah. Also talk of increasing our commercial revenue and non-match day revenue, Paul, which is important. Like I say before, we didn't really have that opportunity, but now we do. And hopefully, like you say, we'll be able to make money from that area of hospitality and then put it back into the club.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know when we've been to Warrington, sometimes we go in that press bit there, you see the amount of boxes they have there and people having meals and all that, and what goes on. And I think Leah, the same, aren't they? I think they have quite a bit of stuff going on match days, and it's that's all money in the club's coffers, isn't it? And I was surprised what you said before, £7 a head. You said, didn't you? People spend on a match day. I don't spend anywhere near that, but it's great to see that we are getting some money from that now, and it's been a long time coming, really, hasn't it? Playing in a stadium where you're not making anything, you're on hiding to nothing, really, aren't you? And you need those revenue streams coming, especially for a club like us that's not got like a club shop and who sells loads and loads of merchandise and things like that. So every little sort of helps us, really, doesn't it? So yeah, let's hope that all these things start moving in the right direction now, because I think everything's there for us. I really do. I mean, this season, you look how close we got last season to being champions. Really, one game away from a grand final. This season we're playing some good stuff. That could all happen again. It's going to be another exciting ride. But I'm just hoping, like Parky said, Salford's a massive area, a massive place. Let's just hope we can spread that word to the rest of the city and beyond.
Yeah, you don't spend £7.50, Paul, because you're tight as a bass drum.
So our Imogen does.
So yeah, it's there, the business plan. You can have a look at it on the website, and obviously that'll give you all like what you need to know if you're sat here wondering whether you want to or not. Read the business plan and then make your decision. Other news, Parky, wheelchair rugby training starts on the 14th of May at Eccles College. 10:30 to 11:30. It's going to be every other Sunday. So opportunity. You don't have to be in a wheelchair to be in Salford Devils wheelchair team. If you want to represent the club and play wheelchair rugby, opportunity knocks for you.
Yeah, I've mentioned it a few times. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think it's a fantastic spectacle. Really is. It's we've mentioned it a few times. I mean, the physicality of it is unbelievable. And I think it'd be something fun to try. You know, even if you didn't want to get involved, as in, you know, playing a game day or something like that, just to have a go, because it gives you a different sort of outlook on, you know, on people who use chairs as well. You know, you'll open your eyes a little bit to how, you know, difficult life can be. But yeah, no, that'd be really good. If I could ever get myself fully fit, I wouldn't mind having a go. But then I think, I don't know, I like my fingers. I don't want to lose any doing that. So, but no, it's a fantastic spectacle. Every time I've watched it, I haven't failed to enjoy it. You know, no matter who I've seen, it's never been us, obviously, because our team hasn't started yet. But it's really enjoyable. I think it's possibly my favourite style of rugby league. I really do. I think it's brilliant.
I knew there was going to be a caveat there. When I get fit, I'll play. I thought then next time it's windy and you get that gate sort of like wind in the wind, like squeaking. It's not the gate, it's Ever Robinson wheeling that wheelchair towards your front door. But yeah, if you want to get down there, you know, and have a go. I might try and get down there just to see what it's like and have a go. You know, it sounds like it's going to be exciting. Paul, other opportunities for people, learning disabilities team training on a Tuesday, walking rugby also on a Tuesday, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. at Eccles College. So like you say, you know, opportunity to get fit and make friends.
Yeah, certainly is. I mean, whatever form of rugby league you play, you're going to enjoy it. I mean, that walking rugby league sounds pretty good to me. You know, if you know you're still able-bodied. I mean, you might not be the quickest, but if you're quick upstairs, I'm sure you'll manage at that. I mean, I know you guys are talking about wheelchair rugby league there. From what I saw of it last season in the World Cup, it was absolutely brutal. So there's no way you're getting me in a wheelchair because it's too tough for me, that. But yeah, I mean, if you can get involved in it, I'm sure you'll really enjoy the learning disabilities, the physical disabilities, and the walking rugby. All forms of rugby league, you can have a cracking time and enjoy it with the people you're playing with as well.
Yeah. Other news, Parky, our former owner, Marwan Kukash, has been declared bankrupt. It's been reported in the Racing Post. Obviously, he came to Salford with a bang and left with a whimper. But it was a mad few years.
Yeah, I wonder how many people out there are still asking for him to come back. I think it was only last week on Twitter people were saying, why can't we get Marwan back? Look, Paul King outlined a few weeks ago what a mess he left the club in, and now you can see, you know, he's bankrupt, so he's obviously not great with money, whatever it is. His tenure wasn't brilliant, was it? We started off, like you say, we all got excited. We're signing all these players. We're going to do, you know, you're going to build a water park at the stadium. You know, I mean, I'm still waiting for that. There's a sewage works. I don't think that's what he meant, though. No, I mean, I feel for the man in that way. I don't wish ill on anyone. But I don't know. It doesn't surprise me that this has happened, and I think we've had a very lucky escape. I mean, if he'd got his wish and moved us to Manchester, we wouldn't exist now. That's as simple as that, because the Manchester club would have gone bust because of this. That's if it had got this far. So yeah, we and you look at you look at Paul King now, and the difference is unreal. You know, he doesn't make bold promises. He doesn't say. He tells you how it is. He doesn't cover anything up. You know, he'll let you know that financially we're not in a good place, but they're doing everything they can to resurrect that and sort that out. But Marwan, it's a shame. If it had worked, you know, the way we all dreamt it would, we'd been the biggest club in rugby league by now. We'd have had Sam Burgess a few years ago, you know, and I think Tompkins was coming, and everybody. He's all pie in the sky, really. Let's be honest. But I suppose it was fun while it lasted.
This podcast, Paul, followed the trials and tribulations of Marwan Kukash as our owner. It did give us lots to talk about, but it never really, you know, delivered in what we wanted.
Mainly misery, Rob, wasn't it, really?
Basically.
I mean, points deductions in this, that, and other. Listen, I mean, I wouldn't, like Pike said, I'm not a malicious person. I never say a bad word about anybody, really, and I wouldn't wish ill on anybody. But, you know, I had no real time for him. I mean, he tried to take away Salford Rugby League Club and make it into Manchester, and it really broke my heart. Like the stress of having him as the he was constantly looking over his shoulder, worrying, was my club going to get taken away from me? So I was just glad when he'd gone, really. I mean, I don't know. I don't really like talking about him, to be honest with you, but it is what it is, isn't it? Now he's gone, and I think Marwan just loved Marwan, really, didn't he? So I think I'm glad we've got someone like Paul King in charge who loves rugby league and loves the club, and all the supporters love Paul, and I think Paul loves all the supporters as well. He lets on to everybody. He's such a lovely guy, and I think that's what an owner should be.
Yeah, I agree with that. Paul King is sort of the heartbeat in it. Everyone sort of does it for him, and that's where we are now for me. But yeah, it was an experience, but we've gone on to bigger and better and brighter things with Paul King. Other news, Parky. Last week we talked about our link up with Ghana. You've got some scores.
I have. Just to finish on Marwan there, by the way, what I will say is, in many ways, he did save us. We were on death's door, weren't we? So I'll give him credit for that, but that's about it, to be honest with you. I really, nothing else to say on the matter. I've got we've got a connection over in Ghana at the moment. A guy contacted me a while ago via social media. And I've spoke to him a few times about the game. He's massively involved in rugby league in Ghana. He plays at international level, and he's really enthusiastic about the sport. He loves it, and it's great to see that somebody who's it's not a sport. It's not a native sport to them. It's not something that in Africa we're really known for. But the passion shown by him and the other teams, it's good to see. And so I've got in touch with him. He's going to give us updates. We're trying to get him to do it himself via Skype or whatever else, but we're having a few problems. But so he sent me the scores this week. There's only 2 games. I think there's only 5 teams in the league at the moment.
Yeah.
The first one was the Bears and the Tigers.
Oh yeah.
And it finished the Bears 4, the Tigers 56. So a little bit of a convincing win there. And he actually sent me I think he sent me the man of the match as well, which was where is it? The man of the match. He made 7 line breaks and scored 4 tries. So pretty obvious why that guy was man of the match. So it might be one to keep an eye on. And the other game was the Scholars versus the Bulls. I think the Scholars are your team, aren't they, Rob?
They are my team.
Yeah, I've gone with the Panthers this year. So but we no game this week. But it finished the Scholars 6, the Bulls 24.
Wow.
Because the Scholars are, I think they're basically the top side over there. But something to look forward to in the next few weeks and months. That we can get the lad involved, William, and hopefully he can give us an update as to the state of the game over there and everything else. So it's interesting, but the passion that comes across, he's like he could have been born in Featherstone. He loves the game that much. So it's just great to see.
Yeah, as a representative of the Scholars, I thought, we were robbed, really. We had a lot of pressure, but, just couldn't turn it into points. And, we'll come again. We'll thank the supporters for their efforts, support, and, we'll come back stronger next week. Obviously, Paul, you've not managed to pick a team yet. Parky, what are the teams that are available for Paul?
It's any of those that were left on there then.
You're the Panthers and the Scholars.
You got the Bears, the Tigers, and the Bulls.
Okay. What's your feeling, Paul?
I'll go with the Bears because I'm not really like Bradford. I don't like Castle.
Yeah.
So I'll go with the Bears. The old Bears used to be, didn't they? Yeah, so I'll go with the Bears.
Right. So we'll see how that plays out. That's going to be exciting. I'm sure the Skulls will bounce back from this week's defeat. Anniversary this week. Paul, our 85th year anniversary of our Challenge Cup win.
Long time ago, isn't it?
Mm.
Our
And
only
obviously,
Challenge Cup win.
I know, and it's what an occasion it was. Parky, obviously you weren't there, but what a moment in our history.
Yeah, I just missed out on that game. Yeah, I mean, at that time, obviously, we were a dominant force. We went back the year after, unfortunately, we lost. But at that time, it must have been a great time to be a Salford fan. I mean, Wembley then was a new thing still to most people. So travelling down, can you imagine that in the 30s, travelling from Salford to Wembley Stadium? I mean, you're going down to the Big Smoke in London. It's just a whole world away from where we are now. But no, I mean, it's an achievement. And like Paul said before, winning the Challenge Cup, it's the holy grail for us because it has been 85 years. I mean, it's generations of people not having that joy. And since then, we went back the next year, and we've only been twice after that in all that time. So three times since we've won it. So it was obviously a big standout for us, and something that we need to replicate. We need to get back there, and it's far too long between drinks.
So that's something to remember, and hopefully it won't be 85 years till we get there again. Before we go on to White's Hard World Rugby League, Parky, you've done a bit of digging regarding referees and stats, our win ratios with certain referees. I've got to say at this point, obviously, the game needs referees. It's a game without them. So it's all about making sure that we're respectful towards them and all that jazz. But there is some percentages that are quite alarming.
Yeah, it's interesting because every week you'll find some fault with the referee. I always do, and I would do, and it's not always right. When you watch the game back, you go, "Oh, actually, wasn't that bad." And then there's referees that you always think that he hates us. He's got it in for us. He doesn't like us. And actually, some of the stats tell a completely different story. That the percentage of wins with a certain referee is higher than you would actually expect with some, and some more favourable ones that you've thought of. It's completely the opposite. I mean, I've had a look at obviously the referees from this year that we've had, and it's interesting that we're winning games, so it's an easy comparison. But we seem to get some referees a lot more than others. One of the main things for me is that Chris Kendall, who we've got again this week, it's the fourth time we've had him this season. We're not even a quarter. We're just, what is it, 2/3 of the games or something like that gone. It's crazy how we got him. Overall, his stats actually stand as we think they do with us, because I don't think we get the rub of the green with Chris. I don't know why, but in the 30 games he's refereed us, we've only won 8. That's a less than a 27% win rate with a certain referee. Now, I don't know if you can read into that. I don't know whether it was just the fact we were rubbish and we got beat, but it does stand out when you've got other referees. The other one that stands out for me at the moment is Jack Smith, who's another one who I've had a few grumbles about recently. And yet, in all the games he's refereed us, we've got over a 61% win rate. So it kind of changes I when we get him every week, I think, oh, we've got him again. And then you actually look at the stats and go, that's not bad at all. That's quite good. Can we have him every week? And this year we had Aaron Moore for the first time. We've had him twice, and we've won both games. So I'm quite happy with him. He can come again without a doubt. But another one, the referee we've had the most that I can see in sort of recorded history of it is Ben Thaler, who we've managed to have 53 times, but only won 15.
Wow.
28%. So he's still better than Chris Kendall, but I've always thought of Thaler as quite a fair referee. I thought he's done well for us, but clearly not, as the case is. So it just shows this this perception we have of referees, and he's a good referee, he's a bad referee. And actually, when you look at the ratios, it can change your thinking a bit. But unfortunately, this week we have got Chris Kendall, and the stats do say what we all think they say. But we, sometimes just got to overcome that.
Any particular referees, Paul, that make you break out in a cold sweat?
Don't really pay attention to him, Rob. I mean, I knew for a fact we'd get Chris Kendall for this game because we always seem to get him against St Helens. He was the referee for the semi-final, he was the referee for the grand final, and I don't think he ever gives us anything, really, to be honest with you. I think he's one of them referees that he's a bit like that John Holdsworth used to be. He likes this, likes the crowd to be on him, a bit like Ganson, doesn't he? And I don't know. For me, a good referee should let the game flow. Referee with common sense, and you shouldn't really see him. You should let the teams do the talking. For me, a lot of referees now they like to be the centre of attention, don't they? And yeah, I don't really pay any attention. If we play well, we'll win the game, won't we? So yeah, I'm not really worried. But some of them stats, I always thought Ben Thaler was all right. He always lets on to me at Salford, but I'll be tripping him up next time I see him. After them stats, blimey.
Parker, my nemesis, Cal Kirkpatrick. Tell me.
Yeah, a very interesting stat. Now, he was one of those referees that made me break out. I remember a couple of games in the Championship, I think, in 2008? Yeah. Against Whitehaven, funnily enough, both home and away. And he gave them everything. He tried his very, very best. And you're like, what have we done to you? But, and this will surprise a few, I think, I'm looking at this. We only had him 18 times in all his time he refereed us. We won 9, we lost 8 and drew 1. So we had a better win record with him. We had a 50% win record basically with Kirkpatrick, and you're like, but he was awful for us. But the worst I can see of somebody who we had over 10 times, because otherwise there's no real comparison, is there? Was now the big wig in Australia, Mr. Ashley Klein, who from the 11 games we had with him, we won 1.
Wow,
that's not a great record. That's 9% or something of wins. Again, it surprised me because I don't think he was a great referee, but I don't remember him being that bad. So again, it was just this perception. As soon as I heard this week it was Kendall, I thought, how many times do we get him? And then you look and you go, yeah, it's not a great referee for us, but some others, they'll take you by surprise. So maybe it's time I laid off the referees a little bit.
Maybe.
Because they're not all as bad as I thought they were.
Maybe Carl Kirkpatrick is the rugby league equivalent to Mr. Bean. There's they only had 8 episodes, but you think they've had about 15 series because we've seen them so many times. Maybe that's it. But yeah, I was physically shocked when you said that off air. I was like, what?
I can remember having that Ashley Klein at. Do you remember that 2006 game when? It was 2006 season when Wigan were really struggling, and they were down at the bottom. Brian Noble coming in and thought, "Oh, Wigan are going to get relegated," and Ashley Klein was their referee every week towards the end of the season. I remember going there watching Salford, and he must have penalised us. I don't know how many penalties. He must have had 20-odd penalties in the game. It was ridiculous. But another referee who I remember, and you might better give us the stats on him, I'm not having a go at him, but he always seemed a real strange bloke, that Thierry Alibert, the French fella. How do we go with him?
Well, it's interesting you say that. I mentioned this to Rob earlier. I always thought that Thierry was good for us. I thought he was a decent referee. I thought we always got a bit of the rub of the green with him. But 23 times he refed us, and we only won 8. So, it's not a great record again. But again, that's what I'm saying about this perception of, I think sometimes you'll win a game, you'll be euphoric, and you'll remember the good bits. And when you get beat or you play poorly, you'll focus a little bit more on them. And maybe with some referees, their best games are really good or okay, but their worst games are awful. Yeah. And that just sticks in your mind. But yeah, it was interesting going through them. I thought, it has changed my mind about referees quite a bit, except Chris Kendall. So I'm not looking forward to Saturday, if I'm honest with you.
But like we said before, the game needs referees. We need to respect them. It's a tough gig. But we'll start with the PDRL. They're in a festival in Bradford on Sunday. Paul, obviously, they've got some good players there. It's going to be exciting. They play Hull KR and Wigan. If obviously you're in Bradford or around Bradford, get yourselves down there and support them.
Yeah, it should be a good day. I think the weather's looking pretty good this week, isn't it? So I'm sure they'll have a good day there. And two tough games against two giants of the rugby league world, Hull KR and Wigan. So they're bragging rights over there, won't they? If we can pull off some wins there. But no, I bet they're all looking forward to that. It should be a really exciting day. And if you can get there, like you said, it'd be a good day to go.
Yeah, obviously a kind of a complete full team now of Salford, Paul, and it's exciting. Obviously now they're taking part in these festivals and showing pride in the shirt and playing some good rugby. Parker.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that they seem to play them everywhere, but our gaff at the moment.
Yeah.
I like to go and watch them. I think the more encouragement we can give and support. They're representing our club. These people, you know what I mean? It's brilliant to see, and I think long term, I think there's got to be more structure put in place for the sport, for PDRL and the learning disability team as well. And hopefully wheelchair going forward. It all seems a bit haphazard at times, and I know it can be difficult. There's only so many people in rugby league organising things, and but I'd like the chance to go and see them, or get them playing more on a match day where the first team are playing. Maybe have them after the match or whatever day we're going to play on, or make it a day where the ladies team play, one of the learning disability team plays, or whatever. Just give us a chance to go and support them and show that we appreciate what they're doing for us.
Yeah. So it's exciting. 11 o'clock kickoff for Wigan, 1 o'clock kickoff for Hull KR. The ladies are in nines action. Paul, Victoria Park, Warrington. In their group is Leeds, Bradford, and Cardiff. So that's going to be an exciting afternoon.
Yeah, a chance to get a bit of revenge on Cardiff for the weekend just gone, but. Yeah, it's good that Victoria Park in Warrington. They have a lot of stuff there, and I'm sure that'll be another great day. As I mentioned, I think the weather's going to be all right. So, Nines Rugby League, I've not seen loads of it, but what I have seen of it, when I've seen the Australians play, it's a good, concept of the sport, really, isn't it? A bit more room, isn't there, as well? And obviously you've got to be pretty fit to play that game because there's a lot more room on a pitch. But yeah, I'm sure the ladies will enjoy that. It should be another good weekend.
Yeah, last season, Parker, we were robbed of a space in the grand final day at the AGA Bell. Still not got over it. Still makes me angry inside. But now I've got basically the breakdown of how the finals day is decided. Basically, the top team of each team go through, and then a wild card gets picked. And last year it was the most points scored, I think. So at least we know now that what we've got to achieve to get into grand final day at the Salford City Stadium.
Yeah, as long as there's a clear kind of criteria, because last year, like you say, was a farce. The fact that it was being played at our stadium, we had a chance to put us in it, to get a crowd, a few bums on seats, and they didn't put us. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I think the thing is with nines as well, it might suit us a little bit more, our style of play, and that like I say, I think we've got a lot of quick mobile players, and you need that in nines. You don't need 6 big trundling forwards or anything like that. So it might suit us a little bit more, and fingers crossed. You said we've got Leeds, haven't we?
Yeah, we play Cardiff at 10-2 on pitch 1. We play Leeds at 2:20, and we play Bradford at 3:35. Parker.
Well, the Leeds game's the big test because they are, supreme, aren't they? The professional team of women's rugby league, so they're the benchmark. So it'd be interesting to see us go up against them, even at nines rather than 13, just to see again that progress that we've made, or how far off we are, where we've got to develop. But you need these challenges. So, but it will be good. It will be fun. Nines, like say nines and sevens and all that. It's exciting because it's quicker. There's more room on the pitch. So yeah, just good luck to the girls, and hopefully we can make the final.
Yeah. So basically, if you're not in Bradford, try and get yourselves down to Warrington, Victoria Park on Sunday and cheer our ladies on. Reserves are in action. Paul, they place St Helens in the curtain raiser to the first team's game. Obviously, Stuart Wilkinson's men victorious last game against London, so hoping to build on that success.
What time do you kick off that, Rob? Because our games are 1 o'clock kick off. Is it about 11 o'clock? That is it.
Kicks off at 10:45.
And it's on the same pitch as at the ground.
Yeah.
That should be a good test. That'll be a good test for the Solver reserve, because you look at St Helens and they seem to have a conveyor belt of talent there. I mean, I know they had a couple of young lads in the squad recently. Actually, I wasn't too sure of, and I've not heard the names before. So that'll be a big test. Stepping up against them, they're always good too. It's like Leeds, you play their reserves, or Wigan, St Helens. These lads are seasoned, aren't they? They've been around a good environment, and learning things all the time there. So this will be a big test for the Solver reserves.
Yeah. And obviously, like Paul said, Parkett, the youth, it's about development, opportunity to take on St Helens, who are a good side, the reserve level, and grow.
Yeah, I've noticed a bit this year with Saints again that they've got this next generation coming through of they've had injuries this year, and they've had to put some of the lads in from the reserves, and it's seamless. It's absolute. You think these are season first teamers. There's a couple of guys a few weeks ago, and they were just magnificent to watch. And obviously, they've already got sort of Lewis Dodd and people like that in the first team. We're all still young, they've already got that. And I think the key is maybe even for us going forward, that's what we need, that challenge from behind to push and say, if you're not going to play well, you're going back to the reserve. We've got players here who can step straight in. And also, I think for us and other teams, getting to see sort of these lads up close, because not all of them will stay at St Helens. They'll see that their pathway is blocked by a player who might only be a couple of years older than them, and thinking, well, they're going to have that for the next 10 years. I mean, Johnny Lomax isn't an old man, so who's going to take his place? Well, nobody, unless he leaves and goes somewhere else. So you get a chance of sort of having a little bit of a look, a little bit of a spy, and I'm sure, Paul Rowley might be interested in looking at one or two of them. We've had some great loanees from Saints in recent years, so who knows?
Yeah. So let's move on to Paul Rowley's men. They're in action against St Helens on Saturday. Paul, exciting. Obviously, we've won 4 on the spin. They're not firing. Could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I think it'd be a really good game. I mean, that game last season in that semi-final was an absolutely fantastic game. It really was. It was, playoff football. It was like an NRL game, really. I really, really enjoyed it. Obviously, not the result we wanted, but I was proud for our club, to be part of such a great game. Massive following behind us as well. I'm hoping we take a good following again this week. We have done recently. I thought the away supporters at Leeds were tremendous. That West Terrace there. I mean, you don't normally get many Salford fans going there. Just like normally the headbangers and the hardcore that go, and the people that are a bit daft. But no, people are buying into it now, aren't they? So I'm really looking forward to the weekend. I mean, it's been 40 consecutive defeats now at St Helens over 43 years. And I was doing some stats this week. We've won there 8 times since the Second World War. 2 draws. I think I've got the record here for you. Actually, I wrote it all down. I think I sent it to you before, didn't I? Played 84, lost 74, drawn 2, won 8. That's since 1946. So it's madness, isn't it? It is absolutely madness. We've come close, though. We've come so close. I mean, particularly since they've moved to the new stadium. I mean, how many times have we? I mean, there was that defeat with the drop goal from Matty Smith. We had that late try. I think it was Bentley who scored that late try in 2019. Was it when we sort of took a big lead, didn't we, in that game? And they come back at us. And last season in the league, 14-10, Chris Atkin races through right near the end and gets taken down. So, yeah, I'd love to see us get a victory there. Really would.
Yeah, it's a graveyard for us, Parker. 1980, I'm informed. is our last victory there. I thought it was 1975. My search engine didn't do me many favours with Paul Rowley, but at least he knows it's a long time since we won there.
Yeah, it is. I agree with what Paul said there. We've been close a number of times. I remember there's one at Knowsley Road and all where I think we lost by a point. I think we hit the post with a drop goal or something.
27-26, I think it was. Parky won it.
That's the one. But then since they've gone there, yeah, we certainly competing. And like Paul said earlier on, we usually go to Saints and expect 40. You know, that's not happened. That's you know, you can come unstuck because if Saints click, they're an unbelievable side. You know, they're not world club champions for nothing. You know, 3 times on the bounce they've won the grand final. They're a superb side. Everything about the club's run right. It's a perfect example. But what they have done now, I think they're a different breed. The Saints were always known as the entertainers. You know, you knew they were going to throw the ball about. We've seemed to have nicked that mantle off them a little bit. But I think Saints on the day can still probably outdo anybody. But they're a very physical team, and they do grind you into the ground. They'll tire you out. And then later in the game that'll show. They're a fantastic team to watch, and it's going to be a great battle. But the thing is now, and you said it a while ago, Rob, that you spoke to Paul Rowley, and he was all about changing the perception of Salford Rugby League, and the fact that how people saw us from the outside. And I don't think Saints will be, looking forward to this in many ways. They certainly won't take it easy. They'll know they're going to be in a battle, and we'll go there without fearing them. We've no need to. If Salford are winning at Headingley, I mean, that's it's just unthinkable. So why can't we go to Saints and do it? We were, like Paul said, we were really close last year, really unlucky. A couple of years earlier, that late try, which was again a terrible refereeing decision, going back to referees, but I think it was on Sky that night, wasn't it? And they scored a try which wasn't a try, but they won the game. But so we're getting closer. So this week, I don't see why we can't go there and win. Saints have still got a few players missing, haven't they? I think as well. I mean, I know we have, but it's going to be interesting to see what the squads are when they come out, and if we can get anybody's back. Obviously, losing Ryan Bryle is massive for us. Does he stick with Chris Atkin at fullback, or does he bring somebody? Does he move somebody? It's a tough one because by moving, a player from one position to fullback, then someone's got to fill that position, and then you're shuffling about. And you don't want to do that. You want to keep it as consistent as you can. I think I'd happily see Chris Atkin there because I thought he was wonderful the other day. But it's going to be a great game. And I'm actually a bit gutted. It's an early kickoff on Channel 4 because I think that'll affect the crowd a little bit as well. I don't think as many will be able to travel. I know, my brother's, my nephew's playing football in the morning, and he's not going to make it, because of the time of their kickoff. There'll be amateur games. There'll be people working. It's a bit of a shame because I think it's going to be a cracker.
Yeah, prediction time. Paul, what's your thought process on this?
It's going to be a tough game. I mean, like Barker said before, I think they're a very physical team, St Helens as well. I think, they do like to play close to the knuckle. You look last season, they've got that Matty Lees in there, Sirenen, the other fella, Knowles. I mean, without saying they're a dirty team, they're really fine line, and that's the way to play. That's the way to play. So I think it's going to be tough. It's James Roby's. He'll get the record appearance as well for St Helens at the weekend. He'll beat his equal Kel Costlett's record, but I think he'll go one better to 5-3-2. I mean, that's an amazing achievement, and it for not a Saints fan, but I think he deserves a mention because he's been a terrific player, hasn't he, for them, and a terrific rugby league player. So I presume he'll get a bit of a guard of honour before the game. So take all that into account. Hopefully, it won't be typical old Salford. James Roby will score the winning try for St Helens. We'll roll over. So I don't know. I've not really given it a lot of thought, to be honest with you. I'm going to go back us like an idiot. But I don't think there'll be loads and loads of points. I think it'll be two sides going toe to toe. We'll win 17-12.
17-12. 12. Parker?
Yeah, I go with what Paul said there. I think it is going to be a close game, and I don't think there'd be. I mean, both teams could open each other up, because that's the kind of flair that both sides have got. But I think it's going to be a real arm wrestle, and I'm going to do something I think I've never done, and that's predict a Salford win at St Helens. Again, I'm going to go close. I'm going to say 16-10 to us. I can't remember what I said last week, by the way. I think we both predicted a Salford win, but I can't remember what it was. I don't think it was far off. I'll have to listen back. But yeah, I think at the moment the confidence in the team, 4 wins on the bounce. I mean, how many times have we done that in our, in recent history? We don't. It's just not something we generally do. And if we don't turn up with the right attitude, we could get a spanking. But I like I say, I don't think we need to fear anyone at the moment. And the confidence winning at Headingley will have done to the team. Yeah, I fancy us.
Yeah, I think it's your responsibility to keep your own score in your own mind. So I don't know whether I won or not. We'll have to. Well, you'll let us know next week if you won. That's for sure. So I think it's going to be a cracking game. I think it's going to be tries for both teams. I think it's going to be a great exhibition on Channel 4. New viewers watching 2 teams going head to head. I'm going to go Salford to win. I'm going to go Saints 32, Salford 46. 32-46. And I'm going Chris Atkin hat-trick.
Wow.
A points fest.
Points fest. It's going to be.
Wow.
It would be good for the TV viewers, but I don't think it'd be great for the coaches. Pulling their hair out of the defence at that rate. But yeah, I mean, you don't know. That's the beauty of this season as well. There's been a lot of upsets, and if results weren't for us this weekend and we won, we'd be in a really strong position. And the other thing is, I wanted to mention was people aren't talking about us. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Are people just going, well, that's what Salford do? Everyone's talking about Hull Kingston, and rightly so. They've been fantastic this year. And if I say, oh, can they go to the final? Can they? Yeah, possibly. But nobody's mentioning Salford. Everyone's obviously Leeds getting a load of mentions as well, and again, rightly so. But I don't know. Maybe we're slipping under the radar again. And a win. If we did back-to-back these 2 games at grounds we don't win at, I think that's a massive signal.
What's the Paul Rowley mantra? Paul, under promise, over deliver. That's what's happening.
Yeah, that's right. And Paul Rowley will be focused. He won't play the occasion. Obviously, it'll all be about St Helens and Rugby and what have you. And that's just going on in the background. For us, we've just got to go there and do our own thing, haven't we? I mean, if you go to somewhere like St Helens, Leeds, Wigan, you can't afford to make mistakes. You can't afford to give the opposition an inch. It's like going for a driving test or an exam or a job interview. You can't cock it up because you're under the microscope straight away. So it's massive for us. We've got to be on our game. Everybody's got to play 100%. Everybody's got to play well, and then you've got a chance. But St Helens, you look at the way they played against Warrington a few weeks ago. They smashed Warrington. I think it was 28 points to 6. So I'm looking at the stats. I think they've won 1 in 4. Saints of the last 4 matches, so they were well beaten against Catalan. And one other stat as well, I think the games they've lost this season, they've been 12 points in front in all of them. I think they were 12-0 up against Catalan last week, and they've thrown Leeds away. So that's a Phil Kinsella told me that stat today, and it was like, wow, I didn't know that. It was like a really, really funny stat. So yeah, I'm still wary of St Helens. I think you have to be, don't you? Because they've got so much firepower. You look through the side, the pace that they've got, the pack's decent. They've got so many match winners. People like Wellesby, they can win a game on their own, can't they? Lomax. So yeah, you've got to be wary, but we've got to be confident in our own ability that we can go there and do the business. And I'm really, really, really excited.
Yeah. So that's the end of this week's podcast. Big thanks for tuning in. Big thanks for donating via the Ko-fi. All the money goes on programs and editing equipment and things like that to help this podcast grow and get better every week. Parky, we can't thank our listeners enough for the support they give us.
No, not at all. It's, like I say it every week, how generous people are in these times, and everybody needs money at the moment. Things in life is just expensive, isn't it? So anything when people spare, it amazes me. And it does give us a chance. I mean, I know I spoke to you off air earlier on. We've got a few ideas for future, features where we'll need people to engage with us in a more perhaps not physical way, but visual. So that's something to look out for. And we are looking at obviously other things, and it just helps us do that, and helps it to hopefully to try and make this more than three blokes chatting. That's that's the dream. So thanks very much.
Yeah, it's always enjoyable, Paul. It's always great content, and obviously without our listeners, it's just three lads and a laptop.
That's right. I need to get my skates on though and get here on time, don't I? Keep being late.
Keeping Britain warm.
I know. I'll be getting in trouble by the teachers. What, being late all the time? But no, you can't thank people enough for what they do. And someone came up to me actually at Leeds on Friday when we was behind the goals. I think it was a lad called Andrew who listens on Twitter. He shook me hand and said the podcast is great. Really love what you three do and blah blah blah. Keep going. And, it's really, really nice of someone to say that, to sing our praises, sing your praises, Rob, and all the editing that you do. And, I think it's great. I really, really enjoy being doing my little tiny part of it. So yeah, well done, boys.
Yeah. So big thanks for tuning in this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. Good luck, Reds. See you soon.